Hi, Misha here, and we've got another model and firearm, comparison joint project. In the past we've done handguns, now we actually have a rifle, barely so. This is the Israeli Armalite AR-7 Pilot's Survival Rifle in 22. It's 22 LR, although it's recommended 22 high velocity. And now Israel used a lot of different planes, but since this is a popular plane, I brought out the McDonald-Douglas F-4 Phantom II. Now to be fair, this is a Phantom F-4J. The Israelis had the F-4E. They mostly used U.S. Air Force, so excuse the minor differences, but it's what I've got. And this is a diecast 1/72 scale model from Hobby Master. The Israeli pilot's rifle dates back to the 1960s when the IDF purchased several hundred, maybe several thousand, I never really could find an exact number, of AR-7 survival takedown rifles from Armalite. But not just content with what they had, they modified them by changing the stock, adding a pistol grip, and most importantly cutting the barrel down to 13.5 inches. These would be kept on board various aircraft from large to small as a survival. In fact, this is probably more apt to be found than something a little larger, but I don't know, I wanted to bring the Phantom out, so we'll just say it was there. How about that? Typically these are issued with 3 8-round mags, and an Uzi sling was used on them. After their service back in 1994 in the 90s in the US, Brickley imported about 200 complete guns and some parts kits. Now you'll notice the receiver has been kind of sanitized. That's something that Israel did, it said. And of course, to make them legal in the US, they had to put on a 3-inch extended muzzle brake. Otherwise it would have been an NFA item. And even if you have an NFA item, even if they're legal, it's not been legal to import them for civilian sales into the US since 1968. So they had to modify them a little bit, and they were sold off, and they're a really neat part of Israeli and American Armalite history. So with that in mind, let's take this to the range and pop a few rounds off. 22s are always fun. And then we'll disassemble it, show you how the takedown system works. AR-7. Clear. AR-7. Go. AR-7 one more time. Okay. So, this is a takedown gun. Barrel comes off like any AR-7, maybe. There we go. That was the extractor kind of resisting. Probably should have cocked the bolt back, but oh well. Got our little mag here. For the pistol grip, there's a spring-loaded button back here. You can press, and that kind of comes back to a point and then ostensibly off. Sometimes you have to kind of wiggle it, if I can remember how to do this. There we go. As I said, this is funny because it's a modified FAL grip. You can see the cutout for the safety. And then it has a watertight, or at least water nearly tight compartment inside. course, then here's the rest of our frame. Our cocking handle can go in. That's actually what keeps our bolt from going all the way out. And then we can press our stock in, and it kind of stops on this bar that doubles as our sling loop. And that is our Israeli pilot's rifle, all compacted up. This would have gone in a bag, and of course originally the barrel would have ended about here, meaning the overall length for the sections would have been identical. Pretty neat concept. Alrighty, we'll get back to the model talk. So that's the pilot's survival rifle. What about the plane? Well, the IDF had a lot of planes they used early on, just like they had a lot of different firearms they used. They kind of took what they could get. Well, in the early 1960s, France was mostly Israel was mostly supplied by France. They would buy the Mirage, and there are Israeli Mirages, but well, it didn't last long. It was a turbulent time. In 1965, Israel asked the U.S. for some Phantoms. It was just coming on the scene as the new hot plane. And there's a full video on the Phantom's history on my personal channel. We'll link that. Essentially, it started off as a Navy project, but it was so successful that the Air Force ended up not only adopting it, but actually using it even more than the Navy. But it was really one of the first of that generation for kind of a general fighter multi-role plane. Before that, you had dedicated interceptors, strike bombers, so on and so forth. Well, the Phantom could do a little bit of everything. It could carry bombs, it had a heavy missile load, it had a two-seat cockpit. It was very fast for that day and time. On the other hand, it was quite large, but, you know, I digress. Well, the U.S. did not want to send planes to Israel in 1965, politics, but France was happy to do so. But by 1967, after the Six-Day War, France became upset with Israel, and so they put an embargo. At the same time, the U.S.'s attitude towards Israel was changing. So very soon after, it was decided to go ahead and sell Israel F-4 Phantoms. As I said earlier, they were mostly ex-U.S. Air Force planes, and they started to take delivery 1968. They officially adopted it, I think, in 69, and deliveries would continue through the Yom Kippur War and last until 1976. All in all, they would get about 225, give or take. Most were the F-4E variant, but they did have some RF-4 reconnaissance planes, and these were used very effectively against Egyptian and other MiGs at the time. After many years of service, many were starting to wear out and become outdated, so Israel would embark upon a very comprehensive update program, which they did with a lot of their hardware. Of course, later on, the F-4 in Israeli service would start to be replaced by more modern designs, such as the F-16. But yeah, I thought I'd bring this out because it's a very popular plane, and this is one of the cool looks. Just has a thing, and Hobbymaster has done a very good job, which is good because a lot of model companies, diecast included, have done the F-4 Phantom. So if you're going to do one, it needs to be a good one. This one here is actually U.S. Navy, 1976, give or take. It's the F-4J variant, which is pretty much the quintessential, the best variant the Navy used. Model is pretty heavy. All this is metal. Our tail back here is polymer. Both canopies open. And even have little pilot figures that I like to call Bob. The Navy version did not use the gun pod, at least as a general rule, like the Air Force did. We've got the drop tanks for fuel. We've got missiles. It even has the recessed missiles, which the Phantom is quite known for. But anyway, for more on this, you can check out my personal channel. But I just thought it'd be fun to take the survival rifle out. It's, you know, it's an older gun, so reliability is not 100%. Probably needs a fresh batch of springs, but it's still fun. Especially the hotter ammo you use, the better it works. And with so few in the USA, just, yeah. Who doesn't like a 22, right? Alrighty, folks. Appreciate you tuning in. Any questions or comments, we welcome them below. And if you could, like, share, and subscribe. And if you'd like to help us get to the range, check out the link to our Patreon page. This is Misha, and we'll catch you very soon next time.